Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinner Rack. I'm here with my boy Petey, and today we're going to be talking about what the number one show out there right now on Disney Plus and probably around the universe. I don't know what to call it, the cableverse or whatever. Mandalorian. That's right. We're talking about episodes one and two of season two. So my boy Petey here is now being initiated to the Mandalorian fandom.
Okay,
Woo-hoo!
I didn't know that was happening.
So, Petey, let's talk about the very first episode right here.
I think I'm not really good on giving the overview or summary, so I'm gonna have to pass it back to you.
Oh, what a move! What a move! No,
Because I don't want to go through the no, then there was this, no, then there was that, and no that, and this.
We're not doing a blow by blow, but we're going to be talking about. So the very first episode is we get reintroduced to our character, the Mando or Mandalorian, with of course who the Baby Yoda, not Baby Yoda. We don't know the name of the Yoda-like creature and stuff like that to this day, but his name is not Yoda.
Is the Baby Yoda with no name?
No name, but everybody calls him right.
Being in a Western slash sci-fi fantasy.
Well, of course, we see that the first episode is clearly homage to that whole Western thing, and there you actually have our boy Mando coming into town, and everybody saw the commercial where the Baby Yoda's they're in a canteen in a boxing ring, I guess, or something like that, and the little Yoda comes in.
First boxing ring in the Star Wars world.
Well, probably it's more MMA, as we would call it, MMA. So you see, Mando comes in there looking for some information on the Mandalorians, because remember, he is being tasked. I don't know why he took this task on to get Yoda back to his people, and of course,
but then we're going to use him as a specimen.
Well, the remnants of the Empire were trying to get little Yoda to clone him, so I guess they could use him as some type of weapon or develop, other people with this power. But Mendoza goes to this canteen in this faraway planet. He's like, "Hey, I'm trying to find more Mandalorians. I heard that you know who it is." And then, of course, in that scene, you have the guy's like, "Yeah, I know who little Baby Yoda is." And so Mando, they say, "Hey, give us the Baby Yoda, because it's a huge bounty for him."
They're in the MMA fight. They all pull guns on him, right?
Right, exactly. So they pull a gun on him, and his fists light up, and Baby Yoda just pulls down that big container like bam, because we all know what's going to happen. And of course, he ends up kicking their butts and finds out that there's a Mandalorian on Tattooine. Now, why is Tattooine important? It's the birthplace
all connected to everything in Star Wars. So much stuff happens in Tattooine.
Exactly. Luke Skywalker's hometown. Yeah. So the key thing is that he goes over there. He meets the old mechanic in her garage.
We get to see more of the desert town, and this is getting more like a Western. It's very much like that in his travels, even though it's high speed on this glider or whatever that thing is. The
motorbike, I guess.
So he gets to the town, and he's trying to find out, because they're saying, and they say this guy's coming with a lot of chutzpah, because they're like, oh, he kind of saved us. And when the Mandalorian sees him, it's like imposter.
Imposter. That's right. He sees the marshal and says, "This guy's not a Mandalorian. I'm here looking for a Mandalorian. This dude ain't no Mandalorian." Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he proceeds to do the unthinkable according to this version of Mandalorian creed that he's grew up with. He took the helmet off. People were like, "Oh no!" He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna kill this guy."
The thing is like this: whose armor is that, though?
Yeah, people figured it out right away. It's Boba Fett's, baby. It's Boba Fett's.
Yes.
Right. But bro, who did they have? There's this guy, an actor from this show called what's the name of the show? Justified. The lead actor, Timothy Elephant, and he turns out when he takes off the helmet, the sheriff, he is the marshal, is the old U.S. Marshal from Justified. They bring him on like, yeah. So you have him there. I mean, basically, he is replaying his role in Justified on here as a marshal. Trying to save the town from bad guys and stuff like that.
Give them
And
a more good marshal, so they're like a good Mandalorian marshal. It's like perfect.
so it's kind of funny because his character was already written in the books by Wendig, like the Aftermath series of books for the new what do you call it, the new set of movies, and he's mentioned there, and it's pretty interesting that they continue in this show to go back and hit basis on hit old like the issues with stuff in the books, stuff in the movies. That's a great thing. There's that connective tissue, making the whole Star Wars universe more alive than ever. What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
Making you feel like, you know what? I didn't waste all my money on those books.
It's the new books, not the old ones. But yeah, you're right. Hopefully they'll do the same thing too.
We had this Mexican standoff that's going on where we know.
We don't say Mexican standoff anymore.
We
just say standoff. We just say standoff.
Oh, come on. Why can't we say that?
No, we don't say Mexican standoff anymore.
You can't stop me from one of the Mexican standoff.
We're stopping you there.
So they have this thing where this is a standoff between the two Mandalorians, or one Mandalorian and the Marshal. And then we get to see this cool sand creature come out of nowhere and just go through the town. And it travels within the sand, and it takes one of these sort of mammoth cattle, like this creature that's like either a horse or like a
Banta.
So it eats that, and it leaves, and then they have a common goal to deal with, to say, if you get rid of this, because I need this stuff here, but I'll give you the armor if you help us get rid of that sand creature. Right.
So we got to remember why it's so important with the armor. The armor is considered Beskar steel. It's like one of the most strongest armor metal around, and it's forged by our boys, the Mandalorians, or this particular sect, and it's very prized. The value of the armor is extremely expensive. It's like walking around with platinum armor. Like people are like, yo, yeah, it's real strong, but bro, it's worth some money.
Yeah.
So that's why, of course, and it's shiny and everything, but they make the deal like you said, and they to go and get rid of this dragon. That's what they're calling. They're calling it the Krayt Dragon, and it existed in other Star Wars properties before. But I didn't think it looked the way they put it out, because what did it remind you of?
What?
It reminded me of the Dune worms.
Okay.
So I always thought they said it's a reptile. I thought it looked differently, but that's how I mentioned. I thought about it in my mind, but I did not expect it to look like a snake or a worm. So I'm wondering if this is a dig at DC's Dune, because Dune is all about the sandworms, and of course we have this worm. This looks exactly like
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers, yeah. What did I say?
The DC.
Well, Warner Brothers own DC. You're right. It's not DC, but the whole family. So it's like, that was supposed to be a big show this year. Movie's supposed to come out this year, but now, like all other big budget movies, is being pushed to next year and stuff like that. So you're like, wow, what the heck is going on here? But that's just for me. That's just what I thought. I thought, hey, why would they do that? But Marvel used to do all that type of stuff, trying to one up DC in different stories and shows with different characters. So this does, to me, seems to be right in line with what Marvel or Disney would do to its competitors. Hey, you developed the whole sandworm thing, and when people come to the theater, hey, I saw that thing at on Mandalorian.
That's a classic thing that fans do, is saying, no, they stole it from this thing. They know
exactly.
That production thing been going on for who knows how long. We didn't know what they were doing. But with that said, we had this. Is that when the Mandalorian they take a ride out to figure where this thing is at, and at the same time they decide the Mandalorian has to connect with the Raiders. Those are the
Tusken Raiders.
He makes a deal, but they can't. This is one of the bits that I really like. I mean, I like the whole thing, but the fact that the Mandalorian understands the language of the sand creatures, and they are very volatile still, because we remember them kicking, beating up Luke Skywalker. So it's like, oh, these guys are great. I secretly always liked those guys, even though they almost took out Luke Skywalker. So it's one of those moments.
Payback for what his father did to them when he went into in the prequel series and started killing all of them because his mother died when she was taken by them. Remember?
Yeah, that was I've taken that out of my mind.
Well, they're making it more and more important. Dave Filoni, I think the executive producer and director, is putting these things back into the show.
But making them not as something that you just wipe out, like that sort of thing, like having them a part of the story, not just as, like cannon fodder. So that was really interesting to me. And then having the people in the town want to start a fight with those guys. But then they finally work together, and we find out they go where the sand creature is hiding out. And of course, this sort of sandworm is smarter than we think. So it's like it kind of takes the bait and escapes with no problem. So they have to think about it differently. So of course, the Mandalorian has all these plans, these grand plans to stop this creature. And the next plan is, to set up the thing when it comes out to sort of kill it with these explosives. But of course, that doesn't go that well either. So this gives me, and when I was watching the show, like a Godzilla effect, where I'm like, well, it's kind of just like, eating what it needs. It's just you're in its ecosystem. So I was like, this is cool. But at the same time, when they started getting some headway of getting out there, stabbing with stuff, it was like, I guess like the way like a lot of some creatures, like the way you see in the fly, where somehow it spits this sort of venom to sort of dissolve things. And that's where you can see, okay, this thing is really treacherous. And they start to get some headway. But this is more of a cool sort of Mandalorian thing to sort of give him a really big accent at the end, which is cool to do. So he figures the plan. He actually, of course, gets swallowed, so you get a little bit of worry.
Disgusting.
And at the same time, he gets the marshal. He hits his rockets to make him fly away and like watch over the kid. And the next thing you know, we had this nice visual of the monster opening its mouth, and then the Mandalorian coming out and then hitting the bomb. So it wasn't like the Guardians of the Galaxy exactly, where you just have Drax like try to kill it from within. He actually needs to get out because it can't be in the same place of explosion, which makes total sense. And of course, hey.
And of course, what?
There's no naps in the Mandalorian.
Who's napping?
You.
You got some nerve, boy. I know you're not talking that stuff. But listen, coming back to the Mandalorian, I thought those are some great scenes. The humor in the whole show. You have the Mandos tries to play the straight guy, right? But in reality, all the comedic elements are happening around him, whether he likes it or not. And of course, that's being played by Pedro Pascal, and we all remember him as Oberyn from Game of Thrones when he was trying to kill the Mountain and ended up having his head exploded because he thought he was the winner. But I think he does a great job here. Like you said, I love that part where the Krayt Dragon. They have a bantha out there loaded with food for him to eat, and this dragon is so smart it goes and grabs the Tusken warrior instead. So yeah, you want to wake me up, baby? I'll show you what's up, and then breaks out. But the world, the very first episode, the very fact that it was very light, very funny, very I liked it a lot, and they brought in Timothy Olyphant from, I guess, Justified to be the marshal. It just gave it that whole Western vibe. These episodes definitely seem more one-off-ish, so we'll talk about the next one. So far, there's a connecting tissue, but it's interesting. It reminds me a lot of what do you call those shows? You watch a TV, you see one show, and then it goes on to the next show. You don't have to necessarily watch the other shows to see this,
Which is what I like. I'd rather TV go back to trying to do self-contained stories and less continuing, because continuing allows you to milk a softer idea. If you do a standalone or try to keep it standalone with the thread through, you have to make sure every episode is strong enough to stand on its own. So you
And
can
people
easily.
can read the stuff they write. What the heck can they do that? They're getting paid tons of money
What do you mean?
to make sure everything's connected and read all the threads and make sure no one is
No,
messed up.
I'm saying that if I want to I have multiple plot lines, right? I have 3 soft plot lines and 1 strong one, right? If I weave them in, going one after the other, the softer storylines, I can weave in like a soap opera while you're waiting for the big thing to happen. I'm having stuff happening with the weaker ones, but that's when I was thinking about doing like a like before everything became long form storytelling, I really thought of that. But then at the same time, I noticed some of the ideas needed to be developed, or else you're consciously just saying, well, I don't have to kill myself on this because I'm piecemealing you on just the bits I think is okay. And then at the same time, once it gets to the crescendo, but if I took all those elements, the subplot, and put it in one story, would it be as good? I don't think so. So I think you should make your bigger thread thing your strongest element that you can weave through it. And then make sure your episodes are strong. So then hopefully the audience will feel like they got something every week. And then when they get to the big payoff, it's not like it's the same thing that's been hammered every week after week after week. Or it's like I got to do something different because people already been following the story where they figured it out. But in this episode, there's one other bit. You see a character looming around that has no hair that's in that area. And who is that? Do you remember?
Boba Fett, baby. Boba
Yes, this
Fett.
was Tamura, what's it, the Morrison dude? Like he was in Once Were Warriors. He was obviously in Attack of the Clones as Jango Fett.
Once
And
were
they brought
warriors. You
him
remember
back.
Once Were Warriors?
That's where I first met him. That's where I mean, if you look at what's that show? If you look at the Phantom Menace in those early movies, you could see that George Lucas was pulling talent from all the indie films that he could find. Obviously, what's the name was in Natalie Portman was in The Professional. You keep going through the talented Ewan McGregor. He's in
I thought he was
Train
just going for keeping the cost less. He wasn't wanting to
No,
use
I
any
mean
big
these
name.
people were like names, not names, but they were the talent that were the next thing. And it wasn't like where Star Wars. That's the thing. Like Star Wars, there were no names in it. Like outside of Harrison Ford, who did a couple things, and obviously, oh man, everything's going. But obviously, Ben
Samuel
Kenobi.
L. Jackson.
No, in the first series, there's only like a couple people that were names. Obviously, James Earl Jones, but that's as a voice. But everyone, most of the lead characters are all sort of newbies outside of Harrison Ford and you're not going to help me out on this.
No, not at all. I got to see this. Not at all. The supporting characters. I mean, Moff Tarkin.
I said the Star Wars. The only person that was known was
James Earl Jones.
I already said that. Alec Guinness, James Earl Jones, and what's the name? Obviously, Harrison Ford was known. Those are the only real known outside of the villain, but the main characters were all newbies. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that insight.
Whatever. But
it is. I'm not dissing you, bro. What do you? It's interesting. I say thank you for the insight. What?
And the thing, and it just seemed like, but it's kind of wasted talent because it was like they got all these people in there, and Jango Fett gets his head cut off. Like, come on, Boba, and then like shrunk. In the what was that in the third one? I don't know the second. I can't remember. But anyway, let's get on to the second movie, the second episode.
All right, so the second one, they are now when they come back to Mos Eisley to the town in Tattooine. Basically, what happens is that he meets his mechanic, and they told him, "Hey, there's somebody who may be able to tell you where there's another Mandalorian." But of course, this this creature is a gigantic frog ferrying around her offspring, little ball eggs in his back, and it can't go. So Mandalore didn't want to do it, but he takes it. Takes
Now, before you go too far on that, this at this point is one of those things where people could get funny on it because it's not a creature like, say, a droid. It's not sort of a scary, cool thing like Chewbacca. This is a frog thing. And when Marvel did a rabbit, the comic people lost it. If you know the character Jackson, that character, the rabbit that was in the Marvel series, the fans lost it. So I was like, I don't know. Star Wars people don't like weird animals, even though there's tons of weird creatures in there. So it's like this frog.
I totally disagree. I think they're going to be fine with it, especially the Star Wars creatures.
Come on.
And so yeah.
What other lead monster have you seen that's been like anything like a rabbit or a frog?
Well, Admiral Akbar. He was the admiral of the entire fleet that defeated the Empire. He looked like
that character, but that was that's like Alien. That's different from having it look like, let's go full iguana on that character.
So we're moving on. I can't understand why you would say that. So we're moving on. Look, so this frog-like creature basically wants to go to some world to get his offspring. It's the last of their species, and so they've sacrificed a lot to get it there. So the deal is, she can't get anybody to help her go off the planet. So Mando's willing to do it, find out about the Mandalorian, the other Mandalorian there. But the deal is that he can't go light speed. He can't use the warp, right? He has to basically, go as fast as he can using the ship, which is going to take much longer and tends to be more dangerous. And right out the bat, as soon as he comes out, he gets stopped by two.
Now you're skipping over.
Like
immediately, there's a language barrier between Mando and this frog woman.
There's no language barrier.
He can't understand her.
All she has to do is show the green, baby.
Yeah, but he's saying, he tells her at some point she's trying to talk. She's saying something to him, and he said, "Do you speak any other languages?" I don't know that one. He's like, "Let's just stop. Just stop." Like he just he just tell it. He's like he's had it. He can't. The language barrier, that was cracking me up.
But he wants the information.
She kept going, and he's like, "That's it." So let's go back to them going on the thing. You're missing the greatest stuff in there.
So they get on the ship and stuff like that. And one thing we got to remember about baby Yoda is that kid is a carnivore, or omnivore. He'll eat anything, and unless he's told to. And it's kind of scary that one of the little soft and little toys that they're making of Baby Yoda. And Baby Yoda is proceeding to eat the offspring.
Wait a second. All right, let's stop. They're flying around, and of course they get met by some X-Wing fighters.
Right.
And the X-Wing fighters are just like the cops. So it's almost similar
Not just like they are the cops. They won the rebellion,
So now they're the cops. They're running the sky, the space, the void of space, and they start asking questions about Mando, why his beacon isn't on, and a bunch of other things. And he's trying to give him the sort of the runaround. He turns on the beacon. They want to know more information. He's kind of like iffy. Then he's like, once he gets closer to the planet, it's like, time to run, and we get a nice chase.
Oh yeah, the details on that was really nice.
Yep, and the chase to that led to the crash of Mando's ship and leaving him in really bad shape. And at this point, when let's get to what you want to get to. Now the ship is a mess. They're in this ice area, and of course everything is knocked around, and the frog woman is a mess. And you see, where is it? She's talking about trying to find the eggs, and they find it, but they find it with, of course, with Baby Yoda. And that's what you said.
So I mean, what we've seen before in the past, Baby Yoda definitely has an appetite. Number one, You know what I'm trying to say? Number two, even the first episode, they were roasting part of the bantha, another bantha, the great dragon, and you could see him smacking his lip like, you know. And I think this was the beginning of the second episode. So what happens after this is that now he is alone. He's supposed to be in his little cabin taking a nap, but we know Baby Yoda doesn't. I don't even know if the doggone thing sleeps because it's always appearing when you least expect it. He's taking a look at the container that's holding the eggs, and he's looking at it and looking at it, and then he touches it, and we all think, oh, Baby Yoda is communing with the little animals. Nah, baby. He's trying to open up the can so he can eat the doggone. And he does it throughout the whole episode with no guilt or reservation at all. Mando has to tell him several times to stop. You know,
he doesn't know how many he ate either. That's the other thing. So it could be more than what we expect. But the ship is a mess, and then the frog lady is just like she's just losing it, and he's like, "We just got to rest here for a while, and then I'll try to fix it." And she's just going off, and they of course go to black when they wake up because they already hinted about the robot that's taken apart on the ship. That robot starts speaking, but it was actually the frog woman. She hotwired the robot so she could have a conversation with the Mandalorian and talk about, some weirdo. But can't wait to tell him about the extreme case about the family and this the last of the species, that sort of stuff. So try to stress what needs to be done.
and that Mandalorians give their word. I mean, because that's one thing that you see, that it's their TV shows or shows about what Mandalorians do and what they don't. And the honor that they have. So supposedly that's what gets to him when he wants to just say, forget about it. But once they said it's all ready to rock, it's how it rocks. And so we go into the episode, and what happens is that the frog lady decides she wants to get out of the ship and go bathe or relax in the hot warm spring to keep her kids warm. And this is, to me, you have to stress your belief in all this stuff. But here you are on an unknown planet in the middle of an ice area, and yet she found a warm spring to go chill in. You're like, what the goonie goo goo going on here,
I think
man?
she probably did use some tech to make it. Like you said, we see people do that in those sci-fi.
Well, that's not how it's explained. It's not explained like that at all.
How is it explained?
All you just see is a character that she's walking away.
She didn't say anything. We just see her in the spring, don't we?
Yeah, but I'm just saying we don't know. All we see is what happens. I mean, I assume is that she found the hot springs and she went in there because she's amphibious.
Well,
all I know is that
can also connect that the hot spring can also connect to what happens next. That could be why there's a congregation of this sort of, I guess, sort of a what's the name? The Baby Yoda finds a spider hatching, and of course, your head just went down. Your head just went totally down. He eats it, and that leads to. But this water source could be where it's connected to these creatures.
No, it's not the creatures. I think it's him eating one of the creatures. They're like,
I'm saying that's why they're all around there.
Oh, gathered around
next to this hot spring.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Those spider-like creatures, they were also, I think, in Star Wars Rebels, and also came from some of the books and stuff. So it's again the continuation. Dave Filoni, one of the pilots, was the executive vice president, the executive producer, Dave Filoni. Remember, there were two pilots, and they come down looking for them, and they find them, and they start shooting up the cavern and stop the invasion of the spiders from taking over, which is cool. At first I was like, those little pea shooters, it doesn't even make sense that they're going to be able to defeat all the. But clearly, they've had some experience.
And then, of course, they had the big, huge monster. But yeah, that was a fun thing. I thought the frog lady should be able to move quicker, but otherwise, it was still fun, and them trying to escape, and them getting to the end of their rope because they were almost getting out, and then the big monster crashed down on them, and then, of course, what happened next?
They go, like I said, they get out and then they're basically leaving. But this sets up the thing for the next episode. The next episode is going to come up.
No, they have the time that the X-wing fighters come and save the day.
That's what I was saying. Dave Filoni is one of the pilots of those X-wing fighters shooting. Yeah, we're all over the place on this, but hey, short story, long story, it is. And of course, the mother is now aware.
This is our stoner episode of The Mandalorian. So, The Mandalorian. You see the keyboard? the thing is typing in the chat. The Mandalorian. That part when...
Oh my gosh. Yo, we're cutting close to the time, bro. We got to...
I know. I can see. But yeah.
So the frog lady realizes what's been happening, that somebody's been knocking off her eggs, and she knows exactly who it is. Baby Yoda, of course, there's no guilt. That's what the craziest part is. There's no guilt on that doggone creature's face.
Baby.
He's like, yo, he's 50 years old. I don't know how much a baby is that.
In
probably a toddler.
Yoda years.
Probably a toddler. But
in Yoda years.
If Yoda is 900 years old, divided by 50, so how old is he?
I mean, that's great. I mean, it's at 900. I mean, there you go. I mean, it's self-explanatory.
I don't think so. But point of the matter, he's a bad boy. And Lando acts as his father or surrogate father and has to try and tell him what's right and versus what's wrong. But he don't care, because at the very end, the mother's holding on to her crate and he's looking at it longingly, and she's like, and he turns around and just pops out of his cloak, pops another egg in his mouth, and you're like, oh my God, this kid is bad. No, nothing.
Yeah, so in the hot spring, I thought he was going to get some more too. So
yeah, he couldn't because his pops was watching Mando, and so he had to go and disturb all the other creatures. I mean, wasn't it crazy when they were running away, and all of a sudden the frog lady just started jumping? Ribbit.
I thought she should have moved faster. And it's one of those things where the kid gets you in so much trouble. And then
But what happened to the powers, man? He should have used his powers or something.
For what? There's nothing he doesn't.
They had gigantic spiders trying to break into their ship.
What's he gonna do? Lift the spider off of them?
What do you think about the very fact that the X-wing fighters left them there on the planet? What do you think about that?
I was okay with it, because it was like they saved them, but at the same time, it's not their job to get them out of there. He didn't pay attention. He didn't pay them no mind. They say he saved them. Isn't that good enough?
No.
You want the lead to be spoon-fed the entire time? He didn't. They saved his life. He was asking them to make another deal, and he's like,
Look, it seems like these guys, Mando is just bad luck. When you think about it. In the first episode, he has to walk back to Tattooine, to the main city in Tattooine, so that he can, get his ship again, because his thing has been destroyed. And in the second episode, now he has to rebuild his whole ship, in order to get to the moon where the husband is, so that he can get paid or not paid, but get directed as to where he's going, to find the other Mandalorian. So it's just crazy. I mean, the quest in and of itself is also difficult, because when they tell him he has to find one of his own kind, they didn't tell him, hey, make sure you find either a green Yoda or find a Jedi and stuff like that. If he knew that, then it'll probably simplify what he has to do and where he has to go.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was a good episode. I liked number one better because, Timothy Oliphant's there, being in his role from Justified, while this one here you have, Baby Yoda was just like killing the comic relief. Killing the rabbit. I mean, I didn't think I was going to like it because of the whole frog thing, and then all of a sudden, it ended up.
That's exactly what I said. You said no, and now you're saying exactly what I said, because it was a frog thing. That's exactly what I said.
Okay, then if you said that, I apologize. Look at this. You see that?
Yeah.
I learned this move. I learned
time.
this movement from my emoji in on my phone.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So, are you interested in seeing the next one, next
Of
episode?
course, yeah.
So it seems it takes place because it's a water world. I think we see in the trailer. We see that the frog-like creature again. So I guess they must have landed on the world, and then we go forward from there. So we'll see what happens. But it's every episode is the last 2 episodes have been pretty action-packed, so which is good.
Yeah. So I guess that closes it out for us.
Yes, it does.
Another episode in the books.
All we got to say, everybody, listen, go out there and watch Mandalorian. We think it's pretty good so far. Hopefully, the level of the characters are interesting. Hopefully, the Easter egg for all you hidden Star Wars fans, excuse me. Bad Mars.
Oh my gosh.
I said Bad Mars.
Wow.
I'll do 3 Hail Marys and call it a day later. So
yeah, we got to do something.
Yeah, you getting on the attitude, bro.
I'm just trying to keep you awake.
Bro. So yeah, hopefully everything works out for the next episode. Because I mean, I've anticipated. Some people are complaining that, oh, I need to binge this. Yo, just chill out and wait. You know what I'm trying to say? It's gonna come when it comes. So what can you do? So then, yo, PD, tell our people to do what?
Spin Rick out.
Subscribe,
like
comment,
or dislike, comment.
Good.
And yeah, come back and watch our other episodes that we talked about. We got a bunch of stuff on Star Wars on here, so you should check it out.
Yeah. Spinner Rock
out.